No, no, no. Oh, oh. Mm. The station clock was 5 minutes slow, like it was trying to give me more time. Your reflection lingered in the glass door, while the city folded itself into the night. A newspaper drifted across the platform, caught between leaving and staying behind. Neither of us searched for better words. The silence had already said enough. The tracks stretched farther than I could see, and farther than I wanted to go. This is the last train before goodbye, the last horizon we will share tonight. Street lights fade into rivers of gold, while memories travel farther than steel and stone. I carry your voice beyond these rails, beyond the district sleeping below. This is the last train before goodbye, and the hardest journey is letting go. Oh, oh. The cafe near the river had already closed, but I could still remember your laughter there. The corner table beside the window, the way you tucked your hands into your coat. Outside the traffic moved without concern, as if endings happened every day. Maybe they do for the city we knew, but not for the hearts we take away. Every tongue swallowed another mile, every mile became another memory. This is the last train before goodbye, the last horizon we will share tonight. Street lights fade into rivers of gold, while memories travel farther than steel and stone. I'll carry your voice beyond these reds, beyond the district sleeping below. This is the last train before goodbye, and the hardest journey is letting go. Somewhere a baker starts the morning shift, somewhere a taxi crosses an empty bridge, somewhere the world continues turning while two lives quietly change direction. I watch your silhouette disappear, not through distance but through time, and for a moment every passing signal feels like a chapter closing behind. Oh, oh, this is the last train before goodbye, but not the last place. You live inside my mind. The city grows small beyond the glass, yet the years remain untouched by the dark. I carry the best of what we were into the roads I have yet to know. This was the last train before goodbye, Not the end of love, only the end of the road. The hallway echoed differently tonight. Boxes line the walls where pictures used to hang. Dust marks remained like quiet footprints of years that disappeared one day at a time. The neighbor's television played through the ceiling, a sound I barely noticed until now. Funny how the smallest things become important when you're about to leave them all behind. The keys felt heavier in my head than they ever did before. I'm leaving lights on behind me, not for the room but for the memories. A warm glow resting in the kitchen window, like a promise that this place once held me close. The elevator carries me downward, while a lifetime lingers upstairs alone. I'm leaving lights on behind me for every version of myself that called it home. Refrigerator hum still filled the silence, the same old rhythm from forgotten years. I stood where friends had shared long conversations and where tears had fallen. No one else could see either. The city we did beyond balcony, traffic moving through the evening rain. So many strangers heading somewhere new, while I was learning how to do the same. Some doors are closed with certainty, others with a grateful heart. I'm leaving lights on behind me, not for the room but for the memories. A warm glow resting in the kitchen window, like a promise that this place once held me close. The elevator carries me downward, while a lifetime lingers upstairs alone. I'm leaving lights on behind me for every version of myself that called it home. The numbers changed above the elevator door, 7654. Each floor carried a different chapter, a different dream, a different season. By the time the lobby came into view, I wasn't grieving what was ending, I was thanking it for existing. I'm leaving lights on behind me for the laughter still living in those walls, for the mornings filled with possibility, and the nights that taught me how to stand tall. The building fades into the distance, yet something beautiful remains unknown. I'm leaving lights on behind me and carrying their warmth into the head. Oh. The suitcase clicked shut at 1:30. Though nothing inside felt complete, the sweater still carried traces of your perfume. A train ticket slipped between folded sleeves. I stood in the middle of the empty bedroom, trying to remember what I forgot. then realized it wasn't an object I was missing, but conversations we never had. Some words arrived too late, some never leave at all. These suitcases are full of unsent words, packed between shirts and photographs. Entire seasons folded into silence, questions buried underneath the past. Every zipper hides another memory, every mile pulls a different thread. These suitcases are full of unsent words, and all the things we carried in our heads. The taxi waited under amber street lights, its engine humming through the quiet rain. I remember standing by the river once, certain that forever would remain. But life moves differently than promises. It follows roads we cannot always see, and sometimes what survives a long goodbye is not the person, the memory. The city drifted past the window glass like pages turning in the dark. Oh, these suitcases are full of unsent words, packed between the shirts and photographs. Oh, entire season folded into silence. Oh, questions buried underneath the past. Oh, every zipper hides another memory, every mile pulls a different thread. These suitcases are full of unsent words, and all the things we carried in our heads. At a red light near the station entrance, I almost asked the driver to turn around. Not because I wanted to stay forever, but because leaving makes every detail louder. The bakery on the corner, the bookstore near the bridge, the places that never knew my name yet somehow became part of my life. These suitcases are full of unsent words, but lighter than the heart I brought tonight. Oh, the future waits beyond the platform, wrapped in uncertainty and distant lights. Oh, I carry gratitude beside the sorrow and hope beside the things I've left. These suitcases are full of unsent words, yet somehow still contain what's next. We missed the first train on purpose, just to steal a little more time. Sitting on a weathered wooden bench, watching departures appear and disappear. The loudspeaker called unfamiliar destinations while your hand rested quietly beside mine. Neither of us knew that ordinary evening would become a landmark in our lives. Some moments arrive unnoticed before becoming impossible to forget. This was a station where we changed, where two different roads became the same. Beneath tired lights and passing shadows, we stepped into a future without a name. The trains kept moving through the darkness, the city carried on below. But this was the station where we changed, and neither of us could have known. Years later I returned one winter evening. The platform looked smaller than before. The coffee stand was still standing there, though the owner had changed long ago. People hurried toward their destinations, carrying stories I would never hear. And for a moment I saw our younger selves laughing somewhere between then and here. Time rebuilds every landscape, yet leaves certain feelings untouched. This was a station where we changed, where two different roads became the same. Beneath tired lights, passing shadows, we stepped into a future without a name. The trains kept moving through the darkness, the city carried on below. But this was the station where we changed, and neither of us could have known. Maybe every life contains a place that quietly divides before and after. Not because something dramatic happened, but because everything slowly became different. A conversation, a decision, a chance encounter beneath fluorescent lights. And suddenly, an entire future begins. This was the station where we changed. All the years have carried us apart. The tracks remain beneath the pavement, like memories beneath the heart. Some journeys end at their destination, others continue long after they are gone. This was the station where we changed, and its echo still travels on.
The highway stretched beneath the silver moon as distant neighborhoods looked out of view. A thermos rested in the passenger seat beside a map marked with uncertain plans. The radio played songs from another decade, each one opening a different door to people I once thought would travel with me farther than they ever did. The farther I drove into the darkness, the clearer certain things became. Southbound through quiet districts, carrying more memories than luggage tonight. The road unfolds beyond the headlights, like chapters waiting patiently to arrive. Every mile leaves something behind me. Every mile reveals something new. Southbound through quiet districts, learning which dreams still ring true. A diner globe beside an empty intersection, its window shining like a small refuge. Truck drivers shared stories over coffee, while rain tapped softly against the glass. For a while I simply watched the scene, grateful to be nowhere and somewhere at once. The kind of moment that asks for nothing except your presence inside it. Not every journey changes a destination. Sometimes it changes the traveler. Southbound through quiet districts, carrying more memories than luggage tonight. The road unfolds beyond the headlights, like chapters waiting patiently to arrive. Every mile leaves something behind me. Every mile reveals something new. Southbound through quiet districts, learning which dreams still ring true. Still ring true. Near dawn I stopped beside a river crossing. Mist drifted slowly above the water. The city was hours behind me now, yet its lessons traveled in silence. I thought about everyone who helped shape me, those who stayed and those who left, and realized gratitude occupies space where regret once used to live. Southbound through quiet districts, the sky beginning to soften into gold. The future no longer felt like distance, but something waiting just beyond the road. Every mile carried a little healing. Every mile carried a little light. Southbound through quiet districts, driving gently into the next chapter of life. The train was nearly empty after midnight, just scattered strangers and fading conversation. I chose a seat beside the window, the same side we always used to take. Outside neighborhoods drifted past in silence, their lights reflected softly on the glass. For a second your reflection appeared beside me, built from memory and the moving dark. Some absences traveled with us long after the goodbye is gone. There's a seat reserved for yesterday, where all conversations still remain, where unfinished laughter fills the silence and familiar voice echo through the rain. The city changes beyond the window, but certain moments never move away. Tonight I'm riding with the future and a seat reserved for yesterday. A child slept against his father's shoulder. A couple shared headphones across the aisle. Life continued in ordinary ways without asking permission from the past. I smiled at how the world keeps turning, even when we think it should stand still. And somehow that simple realization felt more comforting than sad. Healing rarely arrives all at once. Sometimes it comes stop by stop. There's a seat reserved for yesterday, where old conversations still remain, where unfinished laughter fills the silence and familiar voice echo through the rain. The city changes beyond the window, but certain moments never move away. Tonight I'm riding with the future in a seat reserved for yesterday. Near the river crossing, the train slowed beneath a line of amber lights. I remembered how we once believed nothing important would ever end. Now I understand endings differently. They don't erase what mattered, they simply teach us how to carry it. There's a seat reserved for yesterday, but it no longer asks me to stay behind. The memories travel as companions, not as chains holding back my life. The tracks continue toward the morning, and the darkness slowly fades away. Tonight I'm grateful for tomorrow and the seat reserved for yesterday. The rain had finally stopped falling, leaving mirrors across the avenue. Traffic lights painted colors on the pavement as I walked toward the station alone. My phone remained silent in my pocket, holding words I almost sent again. But some stories ask for one last chapter, and others ask to finally end. The hardest thing isn't leaving, it's choosing not to return. This was the night I didn't turn back, the night I let the distance stay, the night I stopped chasing echoes through streets that led me yesterday. The city watched without judgment as I stepped beyond what I knew. This was the night I didn't turn back, and began becoming someone new. I passed the cafe where we once lingered, long after closing time had come. The chairs were stacked against the tables, like memories carefully put away. For a moment I stood beneath the awning, listening to the quiet of the street, then kept walking toward the platform where tomorrow waited patiently. Not every goodbye breaks your heart, some set it free. This was the night I didn't turn back, the night I let the distance stay, the night I stopped chasing echoes through the streets that led me yesterday. The city watched without judgment as I stepped beyond what I knew. This was the night I didn't turn back and began becoming someone new. The train arrived beneath pale station lights, its doors opening like an invitation, not to forget what happened, but to continue beyond it. And somewhere between departure and motion, the weight I carry started to fade. This was the night I didn't turn back, the night I trusted where life leads, the night I traded old regrets for roads I had not yet seen. The city disappeared behind me, the horizon opened wide and blue. This was the night I didn't turn back and finally followed something true. The train crossed industrial districts, sleeping, their warehouses glowing under distant lights. Inside, most passengers had fallen silent, lost somewhere between dreams and destination. A woman read a letter by the window, an old man watched the darkness roll by. Everyone carrying something invisible into the final hours of the night. There is a strange peace between what was and what will be, between departure and dawn. The world feels softer somehow, the past loosens its grip, the future stops demanding answers now. The tracks stretch toward the horizon, beneath the sky not yet reborn. I found a quiet kind of healing between departure and dawn. My reflection floated on the glass beside me, half memory and half possibility. The city had become a distant constellation, scattered behind hills and sleeping roads. For the first time in a very long while, I wasn't looking backward or ahead. I was simply present in the journey, and that felt like enough. Not every answer arrives as word. Some arrive as peace between departure and dawn. The rough is softer somehow. The past loosens its grip. The future stops demanding answers now. The tracks stretch toward the horizon, beneath the sky not yet reborn. I found a quiet kind of healing between departure and dawn. First traces of morning appear, painting silver across the fields, and suddenly every mile behind me felt less like a loss and more like a lesson. Between departure and dawn, a different version of me emerged. Not stronger, not wiser, just more willing to keep moving forward. The horizon welcomed the sunlight, the darkness finally withdrawn. And somewhere inside that moment, a new chapter quietly began. The office lights finally faded behind me. Another long day folded into the dark. Meetings, deadlines, unanswered questions still followed me through the city street. The train arrived with a tired sigh, carrying strangers home through the rain. Each of us wearing invisible battles nobody else could see. The world had taken everything it wanted, but one thing still remained. There was a dog waiting behind the door, like I was the best part of this day. No questions about the things I failed at, no judgment for the way I carried it home. Just pause against the wooden floor and tail moving faster than the storm. There was a dog waiting behind the door, reminding me what love looks like. The hallway seemed a little warm before I even found my keys. Somehow we always knew the difference between arriving and merely returning.
The apartment felt less empty. The silence felt less cold. Because loyalty doesn't need language to say exactly what it means. Sometimes the smallest welcome carries the greatest healing. There was a dog waiting behind the door, like I was the best part of his day. No questions about the things I failed at. No judgment for the weight I carried home. Just paws against the wooden floor, and a tail moving faster than the storm. There was a dog waiting behind the door, reminding me what love looks like. Outside, traffic drifted through the city. Inside, the world became much smaller. A bowl beside the kitchen wall, a leash hanging near the entrance. Simple things, ordinary things, yet somehow the most important ones. There was a dog waiting behind the door, long before success or failure mattered, long before tomorrow asked for anything, long before the noise returned again. And every night when I came home, he greeted me like a miracle restored. There was a dog waiting behind the door, and that was always enough.
Your name still lived inside my contacts, long after the conversation stopped. Not because I expected a reply, but because deleting it felt like losing something twice. The city passed outside the train window, reflected in the darkness like old film, and every station carried another memory of a version of us I still remember. Some words way too long for the courage they deserve. These are the messages I never learned to send, the apologies, the gratitude, the truth. All the moments I rehearsed alone, but never found a way to bring to you. Now they travel through the silence, like signals searching through the night. These are the messages I never learned to send, still glowing somewhere beyond the light. Beyond the light. I remembered your birthday one October, the coffee shop where we used to meet. The way conversation seemed endless before life pulled us into separate streets. No anger lived inside the distance, no blame remained between the years. Only unfinished sentences wandering quietly through the rooms of memory, Time changes many things, but not every feeling disappears. These are the messages I never learned to send. The apologies, the gratitude, the truth. All the moments I rehearsed alone, but never found a way to bring to you. Now they travel through the silence, like signals searching through the night. These are the messages I never learned to send, still glowing somewhere beyond the light. A young couple laughed across the aisle, planning futures they could almost touch. And I wondered how many beautiful things begin with words spoken in time. Perhaps that is the lesson. Not every feeling should remain unwritten. These are the messages I never learned to send, but tonight they no longer feel like regret. Some people arrive to stay forever, others arrive to leave a mark instead. The train continued toward the morning, the darkness softened into blue. These were the messages I never learned to send, and somehow they still led me back to you. The cafe hadn't changed in years. The same brass lamps, the same worn chair. Rain traced patterns across the window while evening settled over the avenue. I chose a table near the corner, the one we always seem to find. And for a moment I almost looked up, expecting you to arrive on time. Memory has a way of making old moments feel nearby. Coffee growing cold for two, the only one of us remains tonight. Steam fades slowly into silence, like conversations disappearing into time. Outside the city keeps moving forward, inside the clock forgets to move. There's coffee growing cold for two, and memories warm in the room. The waitress asked if I was waiting. I smiled and answered not anymore. Yet somehow that simple phrase felt heavier than anything I'd carried before. The songs above the counter changed. People came and people left, and I realized some forms of love never truly asked to be replaced. Some chapters close quietly, without ever losing meaning. Coffee growing cold for two, the only one of us remains tonight.
pristine fade slowly into silence, like conversations disappearing into time. Outside the city keeps moving forward, inside the clock gets to move. There's coffee growing cold for two, and memories warm in the room. A couple laughed across the cafe, planning places they would someday see. And I found myself smiling for them, instead of grieving what used to be. Maybe healing isn't forgetting, maybe it's learning to be grateful. Coffee growing cold for two, yet somehow the loneliness feels small, because every shared laugh still lingers inside these familiar walls. The city glows beyond the window, leaving saddles soft and blue. There's coffee growing cold for two, and gratitude sitting there too. The apartment still creaks in the same place. The hallway still catches the afternoon sun. The kitchen still echoes differently when only one cup rests beside the sink. Months have passed since you left, yet certain habits remain untouched, like the space beside the bookshelf or the blanket folded on your chair. Some absences become part of a place, the way light becomes part of a room. The apartment still knows your name, it lingers softly in the wall, in the photographs beside the window, in the quiet after evening fall. The rooms continue holding echoes of laughter time could never erase. The apartment still knows your name, even when life moves on. Even when life moves on. Tonight the city glows beyond the balcony, traffic moving through distant streets, and I wonder how many other windows hold stories similar to mine. People learning new routines, people finding strength they never planned, people discovering that healing often arrives one ordinary day at a time. The heart adjusts slowly, but it always finds a way. The apartment still knows your name, it lingers softly in the wall, in the photographs beside the window, in the quiet after evening falls. The rooms continue holding echoes of laughter time could never erase. The apartment still knows your name, even when life moves on. Oh, even when life moves on. A song began playing from another apartment,
floating through the evening air. And suddenly the loneliness felt smaller, connected somehow to the lives around me. We are all carrying someone, even when we walk alone. Oh. The apartment still knows your name, but it no longer feels like pain. Only a chapter that mattered deeply and helped shape who I became. Outside the city keeps shining, inside the memories rest in place. The apartment still knows your name, and I can finally say it with peace. Snow, snow gathered softly on the ledge, just as it had so many years before. The city wore its quiet colors, muted beneath the silver sky. I stood beside the same old window, watching headlights cross the avenue. Remembered how we used to spend hours talking about lives not yet lived. Time changes dreams, but not every memory. Beneath the same winter window, the years return like falling slow, covering old footprints gently, without asking where they go. The city glimmers through the evening like a story I still know. Beneath the same winter window, I watch the past drift softly home. Oh. We thought the future would be simple, a map unfolding exactly its plan. But life preferred winding road and lessons hidden in the turns. Yet if I could revisit those evenings, I wouldn't change a single word, because even temporary moments can leave permanent light. Some people stay forever in the seasons they helped create. Beneath the same winter window, the years return like falling snow, covering old footprints gently, without asking where they go. The city glimmers through the evening like a story I still know. Beneath the same winter window, I watch the past drift softly home. Across the street, a family decorated lights, children laughing in the fading dusk. And suddenly nostalgia felt warmer, less like loss and more like blessing. Beneath the same winter window, the night settles peaceful, and so the future waits beyond the horizon. The past rests gently below, And somewhere between the two, I finally learned to let gratitude grow. Mm. 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 The bookstore still stands on the corner, its windows glowing through the evening rain. The florist closes just before sunset. The bakery still fills the air with warmth. I know these details by heart, because we walked the street 100 times, talking about ordinary things that somehow became unforgettable. The smallest moments often become the ones we carry longest. We used to walk the street together, past the lights and passing cars, sharing dreams too large for math, and stories only meant for us. Now the city hums around me, as familiar as before. We used to walk this street together, and somehow I still do. A musician played beneath the station bridge, the same melody from years ago. People hurried home through the drizzle, holding umbrellas against the wind. I wondered how many memories were moving quietly beside them, invisible companions following faithfully through every season of life. Places remember us long after we stop noticing. We used to walk the street together, past the lights and passing cars, sharing dreams too large for maps, and stories only meant for us. Now the city hums around me, as familiar as before. We used to walk this street together, and somehow I still do. And somehow I still do. Oh, I stopped beside the old newsstand where we once waited out a storm, laughing at nothing important and everything important at once. Those moments seemed ordinary then, yet now they shine like gold. We used to walk the street together, and perhaps in some quiet way we still do, because every corner holds a memory, every window reflects a piece of time. The city carries our footsteps forward, even after years have passed us by. We used to walk this street together, and tonight I walked it with a smile. I found it while searching for a receipt, folded gently behind old cards and notes. A photograph faded by the years, yet untouched where it mattered most. Your smile carried the same warmth that once brightened entire season. And suddenly the station around me disappeared, replaced by a summer long ago. Some memories wait patiently for the moment they are needed. The photograph inside my wallet has traveled farther than I ever knew, across cities, trains, and changing seasons, quietly preserving pieces of the truth. While the years kept moving forward, it remained exactly as it was. The photograph inside my wallet, holding a version of us. The train rolled through sleeping district, street lights drifting across the glass. Passengers watched their own reflections, lost in stories of their own. And I wondered how many lives were carrying small treasures tonight. A letter, a ticket, a photograph, simple objects protecting entire worlds. Not everything valuable can be measured by time. The photograph inside my wallet has traveled farther than I ever knew, across cities, trains, and changing seasons, quietly preserving pieces of the truth. While the years kept moving forward, it remained exactly as it was. The photograph inside my wallet, holding a version of us. I almost put it back unnoticed, but instead I studied every detail. The sunlight on your face, the river behind us, the certainty we carried then, and the gratitude I carry now. The photograph inside my wallet no longer belongs to sadness or regret. It belongs to the beautiful reality that some moments are worth remembering. The train continued toward tomorrow. The city faded into blue. The photograph inside my wallet reminded me how far we've come. A song drifted through the station speaker, one I hadn't heard in many years. And suddenly, an ordinary evening opened a door I thought was closed. I remembered your laugh before I remembered your face, your kindness before your name. Funny how the heart preserves the essence long after details fade away. Distance changes many things, but not everything disappears. Some people never really leave. They linger in the language that we use, in the habits we don't know, in the dreams we still pursue. Though the years keep moving onward, their light continues shining through. Some people never really leave. They become part of who we are. The train crossed a river lined with lights, reflections trembling on the water below. And I thought about all the lives that quietly shape our own. Teachers, friends, forgotten neighbors, a grandfather's advice, a mother's smile. People who may no longer walk beside us, yet still help guide the miles. The greatest gifts are often carried far beyond the moment they are given. Some people never really leave. They linger in the language that we use, in the habits we don't notice, in the dreams we still pursue. Though the years keep moving onward, their light continues shining through. Some people never really leave. They become part of who we are.
A young man boarded at the next station, helping his father with a worn suitcase. The simple tenderness between them reminded me how love survives, not in grand gestures, but in everyday moments.
Some people never really leave, not because they remain unchanged in memory, but because they continue growing inside us. With every lesson they once shared, the city rolled beneath the darkness. The horizon welcomes something new. Some people never really leave, and tonight I was grateful for that truth. Oh, somewhere the morning begins. The first colors appear beyond the hill, soft gold replacing shades of blue. Passengers stirred from quiet sleep as the train continued toward the coast. A woman smiled into her phone, reading a message that made her laugh. And for the first time all night, the future felt closer than the past. Every sunrise begins long before we notice the light. Somewhere the morning begins, beyond the station still wrapped in shadow, beyond the roads we've already traveled, beyond the stories we thought were done. The sky unfolds with quiet courage, teaching the dark darkness how to move on. Somewhere the morning begins, and hope begins with it. Oh, oh. Fields replace the city skyline, open spaces stretching to the sea. The world felt larger than it had just a few hours before. I realized that healing often arrives not as a dramatic transformation, but as a gentle willingness to keep moving toward the light. The horizon asks for nothing except that we continue forward. Somewhere the morning begins, beyond the station still wrapped in shadow, beyond the roads we've already traveled, beyond the stories we thought were done. The sky unfolds with quiet courage, teaching the darkness how to move on. Somewhere the morning begins, and hope begins with it. A flock of birds cross the waking sky, for a moment keeping pace with the train. And everything felt connected, movement, change, possibility. Somewhere the morning begins, not only outside the window, but inside the heart that chooses to believe in another chance. The sun rose over the distance, the night surrendered without fear. Somewhere the morning begins, and I was ready when it arrived. I used to watch the world through worry, measuring every mile against a plan. But somewhere between midnight and morning, something inside me quietly changed. The same rivers crossed beneath the bridges, the same cities appeared and disappeared, yet the landscape felt completely different, because I was seeing it differently. Sometimes the view changes when the traveler changes first. A different view from this train, a different meaning in the miles ahead. The tracks remain exactly the same, but the weight I carried isn't there. The future no longer feels uncertain, only unwritten and alive. A different view from this train, a different way to see my life.
Children wave from a crossing gate, their bicycles scattered in the grass, and I found myself waving back, smiling without even thinking. Small moments seem bright now, simple things felt enough. As though gratitude had quietly replaced the urgency I once carried. Peace rarely arrives, loudly it enters, unnoticed. A different view from this train, different meaning in the miles ahead. The tracks remain exactly the same, but the weight I carried isn't there. The future no longer feels uncertain, only unwritten and alive. A different view from this train, a different way to see my life. The ocean appeared beside the track, blue stretching beyond imagination. And for the first time in years, I felt completely present. A different view from this train, the journey becoming part of the gift. The destination still somewhere ahead, yet no longer the only thing that mattered. The horizon open endlessly, the morning shining bright and true. A different view from this train, and everything suddenly felt new.
No, no. The river reflected thousands of lights, stretching across the water like stars. Beyond the bridge waited a neighborhood I hadn't seen in far too long. The streets felt smaller than I remembered, the trees taller somehow, and every familiar corner carried a welcome I didn't expect. Some places wait patiently for us to find our way back. Home beyond the river lights, beyond the distance and the passing years, beyond the roads I thought would keep me gone, beyond the doubts and hidden fears. The city glows upon the water like a promise shining through the night. Home beyond the river lights, finally coming back into sight. An old dog barked from the front yard. Children chased each other through the dusk. The neighbor watered flowers on a porch. The ordinary beauty of belonging. I realize how much comfort lies inside familiar things. Not because they never change, but because they continue welcoming us. Home is not only a place, it's the feeling of being known. Home beyond the river lights, beyond the distance and the passing years, beyond the roads I thought would keep me going, beyond the doubts and hidden fears. The city glows upon the water, like a promise shining through the night. Home beyond the river lights, finally coming back into sight. Oh, the bridge disappeared behind me. The neighborhood opened ahead, and every mile of the journey suddenly felt worthwhile. Home beyond the river lights, where memory and present meet again, where old stories find new meaning and new chapters can begin. The evening settled softly, the stars emerged above the sky. Home beyond the river lights, and peace waiting inside. The map on my phone showed unfamiliar streets, names I'd never spoken before. A new city waited beyond the station, with possibilities hidden inside it. I carry no certainty with me, only lessons gathered along the way. Yet somehow it felt enough for the road unfolding ahead. The future doesn't arrive complete, it reveals itself one step at a time. Learning the shape of tomorrow without needing all the answers tonight. Trusting the road still unseen, trusting the stars beyond the light. Every ending's all a lesson, every goodbye opened the door. I'm learning the shape of tomorrow and fearing it no more. Fearing it no more. People hurry through the terminal, beginning journeys of their own. Some carried excitement, some carried doubt, most carried both. And suddenly I understood that courage isn't certainty, it's movement despite uncertainty. Growth begins the moment we stop demanding guarantees. Learning the shape of tomorrow without needing all the answers tonight.
Trusting the road still unseen, trusting the stars beyond the light. Every ending taught a lesson, every goodbye opened a door. I'm learning the shape of tomorrow, and fearing it no more. Oh, and fearing it no more. Oh, the train doors open slowly, a new city breathed outside, and for a moment everything felt possible. Learning the shape of tomorrow, one sunrise, 1 mile, one choice at a time. The past no longer behind me, the future no longer ahead. Both living together in this moment, like tracks meeting the horizon line. I'm learning the shape of tomorrow, and finally enjoying the ride.
Oh, oh. I stood above the skyline after sunset, watching windows flicker into light. Thousands of stories unfolding quietly behind walls I would never know. Years ago those towers felt endless, like a maze too large to understand. But distance has a way of teaching how small the world can become. The farther we travel, the closer some truths appear. The city felt smaller tonight, not because the buildings lost their height, but because the fears that once surrounded me no longer reached as far as they used to. The streets remained exactly where they were, yet everything looked different in the light. The city felt smaller tonight, and life felt wider somehow. The river curved between familiar districts, reflecting colors from the evening sky. People cross bridges heading home, carrying bags, dreams, and responsibilities. For the first time I saw myself in them, not separate but connected. Just another traveler learning how to belong to the moment. Perspective changes landscapes before landscapes ever change. The city felt smaller tonight, not because the buildings lost their height, but because the fears that once surrounded me no longer reached as far as they used to. The streets remained exactly where they were, yet everything looked different in the light. The city felt smaller tonight, and life felt wider somehow. train moves slowly across the distance, its lights tracing a familiar path. And I remember the person who began this journey, no longer carrying the same burdens. The city felt smaller tonight. The horizon felt closer than before. The future no longer looked like mystery, only another road worth exploring. The stars appeared above the skyline. The evening settled calm and bright. The city felt smaller tonight, and my heart felt larger. Oh. The rain returned just after midnight, soft against the windshield in the road. The city had grown quiet behind me, its towers fading into mist. A long week rested on my shoulder, filled with plans that never worked out right. Yet one thought carried me forward through every mile of the dark. Some destinations matter because of who waits there. There's someone waiting with the light on, a warm glow shining through the night. A small reminder that no matter how far I wander, there will always be a place to arrive. The road may twist through endless distance, the world may change beyond my sight, but there's someone waiting with the light on, and that makes everything alright. The porch appeared beyond the trees like a lighthouse at the edge of memory. A dog barked somewhere near the entrance, recognizing the sound of my car. Inside, laughter drifted from the kitchen, mixing with the scent of coffee and bread. Simple things that suddenly felt richer than every ambition in my head. Love rarely asks for perfection, only present. There's someone waiting with the light on, a warm glow shining through the night. A small reminder that no matter how far I wander, there will always be a place to arrive. The road may twist through endless distance, the world may change beyond my sight, but there's someone waiting with the light on, and that makes everything alright. Turned off the engine slowly, listening to the rain fade into silence, and realized how many people spend years searching for what was waiting here all alone. There's someone waiting with the light on, beyond success and beyond mistakes, beyond the noise of every difficult season, beyond the pressure we create. The door opened before I reached it, war spilled into the night. There was someone waiting with the light on, Years pass like stations in the distance. Some remember clearly, others blurred by time. Different cities shaped our lives. Different choices changed our past. Yet every now and then I wonder what became of the dreams we once shared. Not with sadness, just curiosity and kindness. Life separates people, but not always their story. After all the roads between us, after all the miles and changing skies, after every season that carried us elsewhere, I still hope your life turned out alright. The world is larger than we imagined, yet smaller than it seemed back then. After all the road between us, I'm grateful that our paths once met. The train followed the coastline southward, ocean waves reflecting afternoon light. Families gathered near the beaches, children chasing birds across the sand. The beauty of ordinary happiness filled the landscape from end to end. And I realized how much peace exists when we stop fighting the past. Some people are not meant to stay forever, only to help us become ourselves. After all the roads between us, after all the miles and changing skies, after every season we carried ourselves elsewhere, I still hope your life turned out alright. The world is larger than we imagined, yet smaller than it seemed back then. After all the roads between, I'm grateful that our paths once met. A message remained unsent for years, not because it needed sending, but because the feeling behind it had already found peace. After all the roads between us, I no longer measure what was lost, only what was learned, only what was shared. The ocean stretched beyond the horizon, the sunlight danced across the blue. After all the roads between us, I wish the very best for you. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, The final station arrived without urgency. No dramatic music, no grand farewell, just sunlight resting across the platform, and people stepping calmly into the day. The journey that began in darkness had carried me farther than the miles suggested, changing not the world around me, but the way I move through it. Every road teaches something, if we stay long enough to listen. Where every journey softly ends, another quietly begins. Beyond the tracks and distant cities, beyond the places we have been, the horizon keeps unfolding, inviting us to travel on. Where every journey softly ends, life gently carries us forward. Oh, oh, oh. I thought about the faces from this journey, the people remembered and the people unknown, the love that stayed, the love that left, the friendships that shaped entire years. The dog waiting behind the door, the lights left on in an empty home, the messages never sent, and the mornings that still arrive. Nothing was wasted, not a single mile. Where every journey softly ends, another quietly begins. Beyond the tracks and distant cities, beyond the places we have been, the horizon keeps unfolding, inviting us to travel on. Where every journey softly ends, life gently carries us forward. Oh, oh. The train rested silently behind me. The road stretched peacefully ahead. And for the first time I understood that arrival was never the destination, growth was. Where every journey softly ends, the heart becomes a little wider, the world becomes a little kinder, the future becomes a little brighter. The sun climbed high above the station, the day opened warm and new. Where every journey softly ends, a new story waits for you.